Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 215, your weekly little get-together where we talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Steven Brown, and joining me today is...
David.
Tonight, David. The COVID continues to upset the industry plans, Jason Schreier leaves Kotaku for a new greener pasture, and Xbox gets a Cyberpunk-themed console, which actually is on the good side of consoles. You know how some of these special edition consoles look like crap? This one actually, I think, looks good. But
It's
first...
not like the Taco Bell Xbox 360.
Oh, God, no. But I did win one of those. Kind of. We can talk about that when we get to it. But first, I want everyone here to know that this is an audience interactive podcast, meaning that if you're watching here live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Twitch TV/GamePoints, or later over on YouTube.com/GamePointsPC, I want you all to join in the conversation with whatever questions, comments, concerns, etc. you might have about the topics on hand. Do try to keep it germane to the conversation, but if they venture off into rambling territory, still just as good. David,
love rambling.
Certainly, God knows I do it enough on this show. David, how has your weekend been? Have you finally been able to get a hold of that Final Fantasy VII yet?
Nope.
All right. We had this discussion. I keep getting you confused with someone else that we know about who's playing Final Fantasy, and for some reason I keep thinking it's you, even though I damn well know it's not. Immediately after I asked that question.
I would love to be doing that, but my income was directly affected by that shit that's happening.
By the vid?
Yeah.
No, that sucks. It's definitely not good, and I'm sure it's affecting many people out there. So, I mean, I'm going to joke about it, but I don't
come to me for new video game news, unfortunately. Unless if you want to hear about something that's like 2+ years old that I probably found in my Steam.
Now, I know you've been hitting Satisfactory up. One, like I said, I know you've been hitting up Satisfactory, but two, this is an amazing chance for everyone to go through their old back category of games.
Hell yeah.
I've done that a couple times myself.
You know what? I'll say it right now. If you never sat down and played through the fucking Squeenix Tomb Raider reboot from a few years ago, do yourself a favor, play the damn video.
They're real good. All three of those games are damn good.
But seriously, just start with the first one. It's great.
Yeah.
If that's all you need. I just want one extra video game, and I bought it, and it was like $7 on Steam, and I never thought I'd play. Just sit down, spend like 12 hours beating that game. It's great.
Yeah, it's definitely meaty enough to keep your attention. I've been hooked on Satisfactory, as you well know.
Oh yeah, you're almost caught up to me.
Where are you at?
Tier, like the last tier.
No, I am at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am now at tier 7 or whatever it is when you start unlock. Like, I've unlocked the train. So I'm definitely that far.
Time for fancy things.
You know it. All right, enough rambling because we don't have too much of a show tonight and I'm trying to kill time. It's transparently obvious that's what's going on. Let's go ahead and get right into the news of the week, starting off with that we now officially know what the fate of Gamescom is going to be. Now, for the past few weeks, Gamescom has been very wishy-washy. Will they hold a convention? Won't they? They're definitely expanding their digital front, but are they going to have a physical presence? Well, looks like Germany itself answered that question for them. From the official Gamescom page in their press release, the nationwide ban in Germany on major events until August 31st announced Friday by the German government and states has direct consequences for hosting Gamescom 2020 at the Cologne Fairgrounds. This means that as a business or entertainment area in the previous format will not be possible this year. Essentially, the German government itself came out and said, hey, all live events are fucking canceled until August 31st, which is after what Gamescom would traditionally be running. So we don't have to wonder if they're going to get canceled or not. The German government made that decision for them.
Yeah, it's done. Sorry, guys. That's not happening.
However,
but it joins the ranks of most other things.
PAX West, however, I did get an email today from
they're full steam ahead.
PAX West saying, hey, we don't know if it's happening or not, but let's assume that it is.
Labor Day will be fine, everybody. Don't worry about it.
The question is it going to be smaller than normal because no one can afford to go because everyone's laid off, or is it going to be fucking packed because if it actually turns out to go...
only convention?
It's the only convention going on. We'll definitely sell that shakes out as the months and weeks go on. Going back to the article, because that's not quite done with this topic yet. That does not change the fact that Gamescom will definitely take place digitally. In addition to established formats such as Gamescom Opening Night Live and Gamescom Now, we're currently working intensively on expanding those offerings and introducing additional modules. In light of yesterday's decision to suspend all major events until August, the DevCom Developer Conference will also be held exclusively in digital form. The first concrete information regarding digital Gamescom 2020 will be announced in mid-May. However, the organizers ensure that visitors receive a refund already paid tickets and exhibitors will be reimbursed in full payments made to Kohlenmesse. It's a German word inserted here. Further information on the handling of ticket booking refunds will be made available in the coming weeks. So it sounds like they are going to be having a spate of digital announcements that week instead. How do you feel about this, David?
To be honest, I'm getting about every other word you're saying because I think my internet is.
Fair enough.
So that's fun. I don't. It's kind of, we saw it coming a little bit, right? Everything's
Right.
canceled. This is just another thing on the wrong. It's another list. That's something else that's been knocked out by the vids. And I think we're gonna see a lot more digital shows. A lot of crazy stuff that's gonna happen that might change the future of the industry, just based on how everybody reacts to all this new stuff.
I almost want to say Jeff Keighley has his hand in opening night live now, or he has before in the past or something. I should have double checked and looked, but I could have sworn I saw him tweeting something about having some information for Gamescom or being involved in Gamescom.
I mean,
I could be completely
I just assume he's a little bit involved in everything at this point.
He is kind of a nexus.
Yeah.
A lot of things revolve around him. Gamescom, of course, going digital isn't the only show that's going mostly digital, it seems, this year. As we know, E3 has kind of been completely canceled, and by kind of, I mean has been completely canceled. But that doesn't mean all the announcements at E3 are necessarily not going to happen. This next bit of information comes from known insider Daniel Ahmad, aka Zuge on the Twitters.
Zuge
EX, Dynasty Warriors guy EX on the Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
He says that with E3 canceled, a lot of the planned reveals announcements have been moved out of that single week. Some are now much earlier, others much later. Some still during E3 week. The first proper next-gen console game showcase is much earlier as well. So he's
that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, he's essentially saying that entire week of announcements is now just spread out over the entire year, which from a marketing standpoint, since you're not having the big physical spectacle that is E3, makes total sense.
Yeah,
that way people can have
Why
names.
would everybody wait to release everything at the same time and
Yeah.
try and one-up each other when they could literally just sprinkle bits here and there, completely control the message, choose when they do it? They're also going to have no live stage issues, right? So they don't have to worry about that big presentation. They don't have to train one person to tell every little bit of the story. They can just
have a scripted, rehearsed video that's been edited and reshot and taken over and over and over again, rather than a live event. And as we both know, live events tend to go poorly.
I just think it's funny because of all the news that's going to come out of this year's like quote unquote E3. I feel like this is like the least trustworthy, right? Because there's no actual demo. Like they can do it whenever they want, but maybe it's better. Like people that weren't normally ready for E3 that just built like a cinematic trailer might actually wait and push it out a month and actually have something to show. And then there's other people that might just be like, fuck it, here's some shit that we kind of slapped together and we don't know what it is. And
so what you're saying is we need to be far more vigilant against an alien colonial marine situation.
Yes.
Because there's no going to be physical backups or anything like that for people to actually get their hands on, because they can wave it away by going, oh, no, we don't have any hands on with this because of the vid.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like, you don't really know the details of how far along any project's shown during this, we'll just call it summer of E3, will actually be, right?
Right. It definitely less hands-on things, which means you should have always been, given that what we've seen with things like Anthem and stuff, to use a more recent and major example, you should always be very vigilant against bull shots, as it were. You know, those fake mock-up vertical slices. Anything that says this is a vertical slice of the game, be immediately suspicious of, by the way.
The vertical slice is so funny to me. This is what all the layers look like together. We don't know if it's a whole cake, but we've got at least a slice of it.
Yeah, congratulations. That's going to look nothing like your final thing. So distrust things like vertical slices, or whenever someone says there's gameplay and it looks too good to be true. But this year is definitely opened itself up to let a lot of that in, and we need to be far more on top of things than even previously before. So
the next story is actually really funny.
Actually, before I get into the next story, there's one more thing I want to bring up on this.
On the E3 thing?
The important thing to take away from all of this is that last bit where he says the first proper next-gen console game showcase is much earlier. That has to be Xbox, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. They're
Because
probably
there's no
ready to
way
go. They've
it's
been
Sony.
waiting. They've been chomping at the bit. They were ready to show everything off at E3. They wanted to have their big giant presentation, so they're probably just going to be like, "Hey, guess what, guys? Here's all our stuff right at
There's
the end
no
of May,
way it's
or the
Sony.
middle of May."
There's absolutely no way it's Sony. It's got to be Xbox, and I expect that next month. My gut tells me next month we're going to get the big Xbox blowout.
Yeah, and then you'll have Sony not show up till the end of June because now they got extra time.
Yeah. And as we have talked about before, I think we're in agreement on this. I think we both feel that Sony is on the weaker footing so far this console war. This upcoming thing. It feels like they don't have anything to show yet. They have nothing to counter.
All we have right now is hardware, and hardware is legitimately irrelevant.
Yes.
Like proven in console sales history. The hardware is irrelevant.
I don't know about irrelevant, but definitely not the driving force.
The Wii sold better than any system released that generation. It's irrelevant.
I'm not saying I didn't say it's the main force.
But no, I understand what you're saying. I'm just if you're trying to just do like this apples to apples, this number is bigger than that number, therefore this console will do better than that console. That factoid does not work as a justification for that argument, and it never has.
And we've actually hit the point now where you can't really. I mean, yes, you can graphically improve on games from this point on, but it gets to a point where you can only polish something so much before it's like, okay, exactly. Yeah, sure, it looks pretty great, awesome. Yeah. Now I turn over the next topic to you.
So this is funny. The only reason I wanted to start this is because for once in like the history of this show, we have a Jason Schreier related article that's not from the man himself. And that to me is actually hilarious because we're reporting on the actual Jason Schreier as opposed to something he found out or something he reported. This story is from gamesindustry.biz. You can also probably find some details on his Twitter and some other stuff. But Kotaku's former Jason Schreier has joined or is joining Bloomberg News. He did announce that he was leaving Kotaku, I think, a couple of weeks ago or a week or so ago? That he's just done with it.
It was, I believe, a week ago.
Like a week and change. But anyway, former Kotaku News editor Jason Schreier has joined the team at Bloomberg News, where he will continue to report on the game industry. Schreier, who joined Kotaku in 2011, announced his departure on Twitter last week. However, it was clear he would continue to cover video games. He did not reveal his new employer when he announced it on Twitter. He mainly just said, "Hey, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to spend some time with my wife and my 6-month-old or whatever, but I will be back and I'll be in the industry and I'm not actually going anywhere."
That's right. He did just recently have a kid. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And he's like, "I'm just fucking over Kotaku," right? And there's a whole bunch of stuff we can get into on Gawker Media and all that other shit.
But once the meat and potatoes of the article's done.
Yeah. So speaking to GameIndustry.biz, Schreier said he'll be joining the technology reporting team at Bloomberg. He will have some flexibility in defining his role, but the games industry will continue to be his focus. So he's still going to be talking about video games, but he might have even more pieces about, I don't know, business or politics or whatever.
Maybe tech in general or politics or...
Yeah, maybe he's just got a wider range. As you know, he's a union guy. In an interview published today, we spoke to Schreier about his decision to leave GO Media, Kotaku's parent company, which was established when the private equity firm Great Hill Partners acquired the Gizmodo Media Group in 2019. That was just one of a series of appeals since Kotaku was part of Gawker Media, which collapsed in 2016. So we can do a little bit of backstory here. Gawker Media had a whole shit ton of different news sites like Deadspin and Jalopnik and all of those kind of aggregate news sites that look identical, that have the exact same format. There's a whole bunch of them, right?
The only way you could tell them apart was literally by the site logo in the upper left corner.
Yes. But Gizmodo fell through. There was that whole lawsuit. Wasn't that the flipping...
So what happened was...
Wasn't that the Hulk Hogan thing?
It was the Hulk Hogan thing. What happened is that Gawker Media pissed off a venture capitalist by the name of Peter Thiel by outing him for no reason because his brother worked with, I think, the Bush administration or something like that. So they targeted him because of his family connections. He said, "Fuck you all," and held this grudge for years. And then the Hulk Hogan shit happened. The Hulk Hogan sex tape came out, and Peter Thiel bankrolled Hulk Hogan's lawsuit against Gawker Media. Hulk Hogan sued Gawker Media for... I can't remember what the total sum was.
It was a ridiculous amount. And
the judge literally went, no. They owe you more.
Yeah,
And it was more than the estimated value of Gawker itself was.
and they
Gawker
get shut down.
Media got blown out the fucking water, because what are you going to do when Hulkamania runs a train on you?
Hmm.
And then I think they got out then they got sold to like Univision, and then I think then Univision sold them to this new company here. I'm fuzzy
Great,
on that
great,
timeline.
Great Hill Partners.
Yeah, but they've
But
been passed around quite a bit at this point.
yes, now the current management, from all reports of people that seem to work at those various publications, are it's a shit show. According to Schreier, there's a widespread lack of faith in Geo Media's management, which accumulated in a mass walkout of staff at Kotaku's sister site Deadspin late last year. And there's a pretty like scathing "fuck you guys, I'm out" letter that one of the writers at Deadspin wrote.
Right.
That I remember looking at. I remember seeing it at the end of last year and thinking, "Damn, like that's a good fuck you to my boss, I'm out"
Yeah,
letter.
Green Hill Partners got tired of some of these Gawker properties branching off from what their dedicated coverage zones were.
Well,
Deadspin's argument.
they literally
Go ahead.
push them to say that page clicks are the end all be all, and that is how you run a successful media
Mhm.
publication. And the actual journalists argued that time on site is more important than page clicks. And they just had this whole big blowout, and they said, no, you basically just have
Yeah.
to do whatever we say, and it's page clicks, and you need to double the number of page clips in a month. And then a month later said you need to triple it.
I didn't hear anything about that part, but I will fully admit I am just kind of disinterested in this whole thing, other than the basics of what happened.
Oh, dude, anytime there's like a good big blowout walkout, like fuck you to the man, like, or some corporation thing, I'm all into it. I think that shit's hilarious.
I know that there was a bit of like Geo Media, for example, told Deadspin, "Hey, stick to sports." That's the quote I keep getting here tossed around. Don't stop talking about identity politics. Stop covering like politics in general. Don't give me this detailed
yeah,
assertion
only talk
about
sports, but then they actually have like traffic data showing that
Yeah.
their sports coverage was like one of their least popular things if you look
Right.
at the website as a whole.
Exactly.
Like when they branched out and their journalists were just like writing articles for a website, those articles ended up being more popular half the time, which is fucking hilarious.
That said, there's something about not wanting to cannibalize your other sites, though, too, and make sure that the political stuff goes to the political site. But I'm not Geo Media. I don't work at Deadspin either. I don't know what their raw numbers are, but that seems to be what the crux of it was, is that a lot of the journalists took issue with Geo Media asserting editorial control, like direct editorial control, over what they felt should have been independent entities.
While Gawker fucked up, they had a property that was actually making some money, like this series of things that were making a good amount of money, and then Geo's like, okay, time to just make more money, turn everything up to 11. And they're like, that's not really how this works. We don't. And then Geo's like, oh, no, just turn it up to 11.
I know they started doing things like running like you go to the site and they would have like the loud ad just start running in the background.
Hell
and shit.
yeah,
It's like,
dude!
fuck this.
Like I would try and find transcripts of like Jason Schreier articles, because clicking on Kotaku shit without an ad blocker is like pulling teeth. It's insane. Or if there's like a video link to there, I will like Google it on YouTube, or like Google it to a YouTube link instead of clicking on the site, because their built-in video player that they force everybody to use is also garbage. Like their whole like layout ever since the change sucks.
It's not good.
Really funny.
It's not good. In response,
because admittedly, I do read a lot of Jalopnik because it's a pretty fun car-related website.
In response, the GM, I keep wanting to cite the Green Man Games, but I think it's like the GMO Union or the GMU Union. Gawker's Union, Gawker Media Group Union, GMG, that's what it is, Gawker Media Group Union, had this massive vote of no confidence to the CEO, which like it was like a 96% of members voting no confidence in the union guy, the CEO rather, of the entire media group, to which they just went, okay, whatever, leave, showing that the Gawker Media Group Union is completely fucking toothless and has no power at all. But Jason Schreier leaving Kotaku, I personally believe, is the final nail in Kotaku as a website. I think Stephen Cotillo is going to announce he's leaving soon, in my opinion, as well as everyone else. I think that they're all just going to peace out.
Yeah, I mean, without Schreier, Cotillo is like the last bastion of dudes that look shit up. It kind of feels like over there.
Captain Ice Cold says, honestly, I don't know who doesn't use ad blockers anymore. It requires a level of net literacy that's very rare these days. So I am not what I would consider myself super net literate, but I probably know a little bit more than your average person going online. But I did not use ad blockers until very recently, within the past year or so,
That's
because
fucking insane. Are you kidding me? Are you an
no,
actual idiot?
let
Or
me let me
actually, wait, no, maybe it's a moron or
let
an
me tell you
imbecile.
why.
I don't remember. There's a scale.
I have been on the other side I've seen how the sausage is made. I know how important this shit is to some places. So if it's a site that I actually liked, I would not ad block, and I would only go to sites that I liked. Otherwise, I would use like Archive IS or something like that. What started happening though is even the sites that I liked started doing the shit that Geo Media started doing.
Yep.
Here's your
Loud pop-up ads that you can't get rid of or you can't find, or
In
like
fact,
fucking
that's
video
what
shit that
finally killed
immediately
it for me,
plays,
was
or
the loud
the
pop-up
page
ad.
the page starts to load and you go to click on a link, but then a fucking pop-up loads over the link and it takes you to some stupid bullshit. Like, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah. I was willing to deal with all that until an ad played so fucking loud it actually made my ear ring once. And I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I can't fucking have this, because I was on my phone and the fucking video played up and it's like, that's it.
Dude, I've had ad block installed since Google Chrome was a thing.
Yeah, my ad
Like,
block
I got
experience is
Chrome
literally only
and
about
I was like,
a
yo,
month and a
Chrome
half,
has like
year
this
and a half at
app
this point.
thing. Whoa, what's this advertisement block system thing? Oh, okay, this is the future. This is how the internet works. This is how my life is now.
Mm-hmm. So
11 years, 12 years. Fucking, I ain't down for that.
as toothless as the Gawker Media Group union is, they do have a point when they say, hey, listen, this fucking auto-playing ad bullshit actively drives people away from your site. So that's something to consider. But yeah, I don't believe that... What the fuck is the website's name? Kotaku is long for this world with Jason Schreier's departure. That said, oddly enough, he's going to Bloomberg, which I feel
that's actually really strange to me.
A weird fit for him. Without getting into details, David, what do you think about all this? I know we've kind of waxed poetic about this for a while, but do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
It's interesting that he's going to Bloomberg and that he's kind of expanding his role, but it doesn't really matter where he goes, or even if he just announced shit on Twitter. I guarantee you that as soon as he gets back to writing articles relating to video games, we will be quoting his shit on this show again.
More than likely.
The dude is really, really fucking good.
He is the best video game journalist that we have, and it is unfortunate, in my opinion, to see the quality of his work start to become more and more activist in nature rather than journalistic over the past year. And we need to
depends on what he's talking about.
Even the thing is, even if it's like stuff that has nothing to do with it, he's been throwing in those little, like, he could be talking about Activision, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is. If it's union related, this will make sense. But if it's just like, hey, Activision's Call of Duty sales have been great, blah, blah, blah. And then he'll go, Bobby Kotick, who makes 92% more than all of his employees. It's like, that has no place in this body of the in the story here. And he's
everybody's got a slant,
shit
bro.
like that in there. That doesn't just because everyone has it doesn't justify it being actually a good thing. You should be striving for a little bit more of a balanced thing rather than throwing that shit out there. Or do like we do. Stop calling yourself a journalist and just call yourself a commentator.
No, that's true. Because we are definitely biased.
Yes, absolutely.
And not even in the same direction sometimes, unless it's relating to BattleTech.
I actually like it when we're opposed on topic. I think it's important to get both sides of things out and get different viewpoints, which is why I keep asking you guys at home to comment on what you see here. But when you cloak yourself in the name of journalism, when you start becoming more and more activistic, it starts tarnishing your reputation.
Dude,
while
you just gave me a great idea that if PAX actually happens, I'm going to make a sweet-ass cosplay, and that's just going to be a giant cloak that says journalism on it, and I'm going to wear it the whole time.
While Jason
so
Schreier is still the best video game journalist out there, that is more a condemnation of the state of video game journalism than it is praise for Jason Schreier at this point. And this is saying as someone who actually likes what he writes.
Yeah, I like his shit a lot.
But we need to do better as an industry if that is what the best is. Someone who is blatantly trying to push an agenda and calling himself a journalist.
Oh, well.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's fucking video games, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of...
I like the guy. I think he's funny.
Hey there, Blue, White, Red. How you doing? You weren't expecting something like this. Yes, we have a podcast once a week at this time. So thank you for showing up and joining in there. Not normally a video game stream video games, but today is podcast day. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Xbox One Cyberpunk 2077 limited edition bundle has been announced. Now,
how much Cyberpunk 2077 limited edition shit are we gonna get before we get an actual fucking release date?
we have a
No.
release date.
We have a date technically, but before we actually get the game out, like, I'll believe it when it's here, you know?
Oh, so you're still in the category of I don't actually believe this thing is coming.
Hell no.
Fair enough. So let me go ahead and pull this.
What's funny though is I don't have an issue with it. CD Projekt Red can take however much time they want. I'm still gonna play the game whenever it comes out. I just don't think it's coming out when they say it's coming out.
Fair enough. I think it is. I think that this date's kind of a lock, but to be fair, I also thought that was the last date and they got delayed as well. Let me bring you up this picture so everyone at home can see what I'm talking about here, so they can too see what this looks like. This is very sloppily done, but there you go. That there is what the console is going to look like. Now, David, you and I have gone back and forth about limited edition consoles in the past. We think some of them are cool, some of them were just total garbage. The C3PO one, for example, garbage.
I think I can't remember what it was, but we had one that we specifically disagreed on.
I don't remember what it was either.
I can't remember what it was, but it was something stupid like the Spider-Man one or something like that.
What do you think about this one? What's your opinion on this guy?
It looks like it's for Borderlands.
It does share that Borderlands like gunmetal blue yellow aesthetic.
From what I've seen of Cyberpunk, this doesn't scream Cyberpunk noir to me.
What does this speak to you? Borderlands, or is there something specific
feels
that
like
you're thinking
it feels like Borderlands. It looks like flipping claptrap. Like I admit it looks good. I don't think it's a bad looking system. It's much better than a lot of the average limited edition crap we get. But to me, it doesn't scream Cyberpunk. I think Borderlands more than anything else. And I don't know. It's maybe the color scheme or the way they have it built, and maybe if you play the game, it looks more like it. But I don't know.
So I didn't think Borderlands when I first saw this, but once you mentioned it, I immediately saw the color scheme there, so I can see it. However, I want to see this.
Jumped out to me.
I want to see this thing up and running because apparently it is going to have some glow in the dark elements. It's going to feature LED color shift effects on there, different textures all on it. I want to physically see it because I don't think this picture is doing it justice. I will say that controller I am a fan of. I like that controller.
Dude, seriously, Sony, take note. Fix the DualSense and make it look like that Xbox controller. Like, take your little black and white color scheme, blah, blah, blah. The bottom, it looks like it's a robot. Looks like Eva from WALL-E. Switch it up like that. Looks way better. 100%.
For sure. Let's see. Blue Right Red Chat says, my God, it looks great. Captain Ice Cold says, looks cool, but isn't it a little late on the console life cycle to get one? Yes.
That was my next point, actually.
I wanted to bring that up. From what I understand, from what I have seen mentioned a little bit every now and then, is that this is going to be the last limited console for the Xbox One.
I wish to say it's the last limited console of this generation because I doubt they're going to release another PS5 edition.
Oh yeah, different. Oh well, hold on. You think they would do one for PS4. Last of Us 2?
Why?
That's kind of what I'm just spitballing.
I'm trying to think what that would possibly look like that would move units.
Giant mushroom.
Stupid.
Hey, like we said, half of them are. That would be the only game that I can think of that would have any from Sony that would have any kind of limited edition console. Would be Last of Us 2.
It just seems weird that you'd be buying a special edition console in June of 2020 when by holiday 2020 you have a next gen console, and Cyberpunk 2077 we know is going to be on next gen console, and regardless of whatever console you play on, it's going to look better on PC. What are you doing with your life?
Keep in mind, though, Microsoft and Sony have different ways they sunset their console. Xbox and Xbox 360 both were immediately shut off when they rolled over for the most part. Sony kept selling systems at a reduced price for a long time. Remember the PlayStation 1?
I feel like you can buy PS3 Slim right now.
Yeah, your internet connection is really bad tonight, my man. I don't know what's going on there. But
it'll get worse. It'll be bad until May.
Just because?
No, I've got shit coming to fix my internet.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, okay. So it is. I didn't know if it was on me or you, so it's good that we established that.
Oh no
So,
no no! My just so everybody knows, I don't always look and sound like shit. We actually do have a decent show sometimes, but due to the current state of the vid, I'm stuck recording on my laptop on a Wi-Fi card, so it is not great.
oh, yes, I know. Now I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, I actually forgot the
Yeah.
details about the situation there. Let's not worry
Yes.
about it. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Speaking of PlayStation 5, David, why don't you go ahead and lead us out on this one? And it's via Jason Schreier's new home.
Bloomberg. Oh man, this could be a Jason Schreier article if it was
It could have
released
been.
later. Sony has said to limit PlayStation 5 output in its first year. I do believe that means that I was right. Because I feel like I distinctly said they're probably just going to make like 500,000 of them and make everybody fight over it like they did with the PS3s. Anyway, Sony Corporation plans to produce far fewer units of its upcoming PlayStation 5 in its first year than it had for the previous generation console's launch, according to people familiar with the matter. The Tokyo-based tech giant is limiting its initial production run in part because it expects the PS5's ambitious specs to weigh on demand by leading to a high price at launch. The people said asking not to be identified because the subject is private. The global COVID-19 pandemic has affected Sony's promotional plans for the new device, but not its production capacity, they added. The company's told assembly partners they would make 5 to 6 million units of the PS5 in the fiscal year ending March 2021, according to other people involved in the machine's supply chain. When Sony released the PS4 in November 2013, it sold 7.5 million units in its first 2 quarters. And like I already mentioned, if you go all the way back to the PS3, there was 500,000 of those in North America at launch. And that was kind of just the case for the first, I think, 2 to 3 months of that system's life. There was
This
500,000 of them, and that was it.
this has that certain, to use a Stephen Colbert term, this has that certain degree of truthiness that makes me
Yes.
believe that this is actually how it's going to be. Because both PlayStation and Xbox, I think, would have said up front by now, hey, production's delayed if the production was an issue. But it's not that production itself is an issue. It's getting the components that's a bitch right now. Because
Yeah.
they're no longer competing with just each other. They're competing with smartphones and tablets and shit because it all uses the same stuff inside these days. Blue Right Red in chat asked, what's the argument to buy a new console over building a PC these days apart from the price? Honestly, you mentioned already, David, convenience.
Always convenience.
You plug it in
buy
and
a box, you plug it into a TV. Any new game that comes out, you can play. You don't have to worry about drivers. You don't have to worry about buying a mouse and keyboard and a monitor and anything else. It's just plug the damn thing in. It's got a Wi-Fi card built in. It comes with a controller. It's yeah. It can be in a kid's room. It can be in an extra room. It can be plugged into a tiny ass TV, which is how I grew up with a little like a 8-inch, maybe 11-inch television. So I played most of my video games.
That's so small.
In the back of the house, dude. Seriously, it was like a camping TV. That's why I played fucking like Tekken 3.
Damn, that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it really is a matter of convenience, which is why, I mean, we jokingly make we're both PC gamers on this show, but and we'll jokingly like put down the console peasants and all that stuff.
And even
but
then, I'm not a lifer. I've only converted in the last 8 or 9 years.
at the end of the day, though, I'm only going to be like joking about that kind of thing because there's a lot of bullshit that goes on with PC gaming. Because if if something doesn't work on the PC, it is infuriating to figure out what the fuck is wrong with it sometimes.
Dude, like if you can't matchmake with somebody and it's like, yo, you got NAT issues. I'm like, what the does that even no. Just no.
Especially if you're like the only one that has the problem and everyone else
I'm getting weird pop-in or lag or like these enemies aren't loading for me. A classic example is when we tried to play Fallout 76, which is a thing that we did. And you're like, this game seems fun. And I'm like, this game is legitimately unplayable.
Yeah,
this is the worst video game ever made in the history of time. Whereas, while it wasn't the absolute worst, it was still in the bottom 10 if you played it on console, but at least you could play with your friends.
So that would be like a legitimately good argument why people would buy a console over PC these days.
There's still a reason.
Going back to the article here,
consoles aren't going to kill PC, and PCs aren't going to kill consoles.
No, there's a space for both.
Is an idiot.
There's a space for both. Back to the article here. Game developers who have been creating titles for the next PlayStation anticipate its price to be in the region of $499 to $549, and Bloomberg Intelligence's Matthew Caterman points out increased component costs pushing up the price required for Sony to break even. Sony has struggled with price-setting decisions for the PlayStation 5 because of scarce components, Bloomberg Numbers has reported. First of all, Bloomberg Intelligence, the fact that exists is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, that's
I don't know
real
if that's
spooks.
just the name of like their tech part of their site, but I don't like the fact that there's something called Bloomberg Intelligence. Second of all, as we have said multiple times, they could price this thing at 499, 549, 649. All
Just
of that
can't
is
hit
fine,
599.
but they cannot make it 599 because that has such a
In before
tainted
579.
they would sooner, like I said, they would sooner set it for 589 than 599 or 609.
Dude, I just think it's $600 even.
Yeah, they have to avoid the 599 price though. I don't even think they can get away with 600. But they
599.
cannot pull a PlayStation 3 again because the internet will collectively roll their eyes, dismiss
Just go
it,
get an extra job.
and then mercilessly and rightfully, in my opinion, hammer Sony for 5 fucking years straight on it.
Yeah. But we already know that the cost to build the thing, at least as the spec sheets was released a few months ago, was like $517 or something. So,
and Sony's going to have to eat the cost on it. They have to. They cannot make it 590. They can't. They can't.
Yeah.
They might as well call it PlayStation 3.5 at that point.
Hey, dude, PlayStation 9 is adrenal spores trapped directly into your cerebral cortex.
They
do whatever you
just
want.
cannot do it. David, I got some bad news for you.
Dude, I'm actually super bummed about this, but I'm also not bummed about this because I'm currently broke.
Death Stranding on PC has now been delayed due to the vid. From the official Twitter of Kojima Productions. Following the temporary closure of Kojima Productions, we have had to delay the PC launch of Death Stranding to July 14th, 2020, to allow more development time amidst the current work-from-home orders in place. Thank you all for your patience and continued support. Now, July 14th is not that bad of a delay.
No, not the worst thing in the world.
When was it originally coming out? Was it first week of June or first week of July?
There's a second.
Second week of July? Second week of June?
It was the 2nd of July.
Oh, 2nd of July.
Yeah.
Either way, it's no more than a month and a half delay.
Yeah.
That's nothing. You can wait.
It's not that bad.
And I know you yourself are deliberately waiting for the PC. Excuse me, PC
yeah,
version.
I played it on
point.
PS4. I really like that game. We talked about kind of endlessly how I was worried about it and it looked bad and I didn't know what I was gonna think. But I'm also a Kojima whore and it's probably just gonna catch my interest anyway. And then it totally did. And I fucking love that game. It's got one of the best soundtracks of any game released in the last like 10 years. But I'm so over playing games on my flipping PlayStation.
Understandable.
Like I don't want to sit on the couch. I just want to sit in my computer chairs. I like it. It's my home.
I get it. No, nice. I understand.
So I just wanted that. I just want to do the photo mode. I'll probably slam through the storyline just so you can finally talk to me about it, and then I'll do a slow playthrough.
It's a game that I will never touch again, but I loved my time with it. I finished it. Yeah. I have no need to ever go back and play it again. It was a one and done for me, but goddamn did I really enjoy it. And that said, I completely get why a lot of people were turned off by it, especially if you went in thinking it was going to be Metal Gear.
Yeah, it's definitely not Metal Gear. It's a simulation game more than anything else. It scratches that specific part of your brain of it, like the way Satisfactory works. Like I need to build another machine. I need to do this other thing. It's like I need to find a more efficient way to travel. I need to find a better way to deliver these packages. That's the way that game is built. David? It's not I need to figure out how to solve this puzzle.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here as we're going through our news stories. And this falls into the category of we were right. Crysis Remastered officially announced. Now, if you remember last show, we were talking about how the Crysis Twitter account, which hadn't said anything in years, was teasing essentially some Crysis-related news. And we postured that it was likely to be a remaster given the situation with Crytek's financial issues and all that good stuff. And it turns out we were 100% correct on that. Crysis Remastered is coming to the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, and will feature the original game's single-player campaign alongside high-quality textures, an HD texture pack, improved art assets, temporal anti-aliasing, SSDO, SVOGI, state-of-the-art depth fields, new light settings, motion blur, parallax occlusion mapping, particle effects where applicable, and further additions like volumetric fog and shafts of light. Shaft. Software-based ray tracing and screen space reflections deliver a major visual upgrade to this classic FPS experience. No word on if they're improving the AI or not.
Is it going to destroy a computer?
You know, I was actually
Because if
looking
it
into
doesn't
that.
destroy computers, what the fuck are you guys even doing? What's the point?
I was looking into that because I remember making
Crysis is like a meme,
yeah.
right? Of it's just this is a graphical powerhouse that you can use to test computers even like 10 years after the game's release because of how flippin' good it looks.
I looked into that because we were talking about that, how you could still test computers today on Crysis.
If this doesn't make a 2080 cry, they're wasting their time. And this
technically you can, because some sections of the original Crysis still drop to 40 frames a second in certain levels, not because of graphical power, but because of processing power. Crysis came out during roughly the end, not I don't want to say the end, but it was designed to take advantage of single core PCUs, or CPUs rather. PCU is an excellent movie, you should watch that. CPU is something else completely different. Once that was out, they started the shift to multi-core stuff, which really started fucking with Crysis, because at that point it started becoming harder and harder to run because it wasn't taking advantage of the entire chipset.
Yeah,
so,
because
for example,
we stopped having this like megahertz battle of like building a stronger and stronger single core, and it's like, oh, let's just put 2 of them in there.
And since Crysis was designed for a single core, it was only using 1 core of your processor, which would just overload it.
I'm still kind of mad that no one's still running for like a giant like, why can't I get like a 8 megahertz processor?
Like just one? Single 8 megahertz processor rather than a multi-core?
Let's just fucking go. I just want to see it. Something die size, something complete. Just get it done, guys. Come on.
The development is being led up by Saber Interactive. These are the guys who made World War Z and put Witcher 3 on the Switch, so they are a good studio.
By the way, still ridiculously absurd that Witcher 3 is on Switch.
And that runs it works decently well.
And works even a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's the best, but it works.
No.
Saber
it's
Interactive,
not the best way to play that game, but it's impressive for what it is.
Saber Interactive falls in that same developer category as Frogwares and Spiders does for me, where they're this middle tier developer who everything they do is always just a little bit better than what came before it. And so they're definitely someone to keep an eye on. No official release date other than later this year, though my gut says it will come out on August 7th, 2020. That is a Friday. I looked it up, and August 7th, 2020 is when the plot to the original Crysis took place.
That's actually hilarious, and I hope that you're right. I just think it's funny that Crysis is the game that destroyed computers for the longest time, and it's getting ported to Switch.
Yeah. Which means I don't think it's... That means I don't think it's going to destroy computers these days.
There's a lot of stuff that doesn't look that great on Switch.
No.
I'm just saying.
And no offense to Witcher 3, but you compare Witcher 3 on PC to Witcher 3 on Switch, and you can see that it's a lot that they had to change. I'm
not even going to do that. Put Witcher 3 on Switch against the original launch PS4 Witcher 3.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Once again, not meaning to hammer Saber Interactive, because believe it or not, the fact that they still made that game work on the Switch reasonably well is a testament to them, not a condemnation.
Yeah. Frame rate's stable. That's all that matters.
At the end of the day, that is all that matters for me, too.
Plus, the screen's like this big. Who cares? Great.
Lead us off on the next topic there, David. We're going to get into some numbers.
Oh, man. I love talking about this stuff almost as much as I love talking about literally anything else. This is from Reuters. U.S. video game sales surge in March as lockdown keeps people indoors. This coming from the headlines that are not surprising to anyone with half a brain that pays a little bit of attention to the video game industry, as people are stuck in their house for a while. What happened? Well, they buy video games. Video game sales in March hit their highest in over a decade as Americans turned to games like Animal Crossing New Horizons and Call of Duty Modern Warfare because of lockdowns to stem the spread of the coronavirus. Sales of gaming hardware, software, and accessories in the United States jumped 35% to $1.6 billion last month from a year earlier, according to data from the research firm MPD.
There's also a bunch of anecdotal stories about how the Switch in particular is just sold out everywhere. Like,
dude, I have a story about that, but let me keep going real quick. The sales and growth are the highest for the month since March 2008, when sales grew over 52% to $1.8 billion, MPD analyst Matt Piscatella said. Nintendo's life simulation title, Animal Crossing New Horizons, launched last month, topped NPD's best-selling list, followed by Activision Blizzard Inc.'s battle blockbuster Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Sales of gaming consoles Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch rose 63% to $461 million in March from a year earlier. Nintendo Switch hardware sales more than doubled, which is where I also wanted to touch on the fact that Switches are completely sold out everywhere.
It is
And
like when they first launched again.
The reason you can't buy one is because people have bots automatically buying any Switch that goes on sale anywhere, and about the cheapest you can find one if you're looking around online on like eBay and stuff is about $440. And then it's up from there. $500, $600, $700. People are just selling it for crazy numbers.
Yep.
But I don't know if you caught it, but I wanted to talk about it because it's fucking hilarious. If you read the article of some guy that managed to source every single part on the inside of a Switch from various manufacturers, the only thing that he needed to get from an actual Switch was the logic board, which you can find in some of the decommissioned ones, like broken bricked ones that aren't quite working, but you can take the board out. And he built his friend a Nintendo Switch, and the actual cost was $200.
What?
Immaterial. Yeah. He's a hardware engineer, and he built his friend a Nintendo Switch. And it is look and feel identical to a damn Nintendo Switch.
Holy shit.
If you have not seen that article, look up. We'll find it and we'll post it in the video link later.
Post it in our Discord, and I'll make sure it gets put in the link down below if I remember.
But this dude built a Nintendo Switch for his buddy, and it looks great, and he did it for less than $200. So if you are super handy, and I don't mean like a little bit like you're a tinkerer, but if you know what the fuck you're doing with a goddamn soldering iron, maybe you could just build your own Switch and have yourself a day.
Hey there, UN, or Unfussy rather. How you doing, my man? Good to see you. One more thing on this article that I want to mention up that's kind of impressive is that we were talking about how the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, like who the hell's buying those as we're coming to the end of the console cycle, and who would buy the collector's edition and the limited edition Cyberpunk Xbox. Well, they're up on hardware sales 63% right now. So they're selling. Yeah. They're doing good. Admittedly, that is because of the unusual circumstances we all find ourselves in right now. But that would be why you might see another limited edition PlayStation come out. Because they're selling. And they're selling well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's go ahead and move on to the last news story right here. This is via GameIndustry.biz. Headline: GameStop starts reopening stores closed by COVID-19. After COVID-19 prompted the closure of numerous GameStop locations around the world, the retailer today announced its first steps to reopen those stores. Quote, the company has begun the process of reopening stores in Italy, Germany, Austria, and states of South Carolina and Georgia, and is preparing for the potential to reopen other operating countries and states in the coming weeks, end quote, GameStop said in a news release today. GameStop stores in the U.S. have been closed to customers since March 21. 1/3 of the store locations in the U.S. have been shuttered entirely, while 2/3 have been taking orders through the store's website, allowing customers to do curbside pickup. The company said curbside option has also allowed the company to meet more than 90% of its sales volume it expected from those locations before the pandemic hit. But despite that, GameStop's comparable store sales for the 9-week period ended April 4th were down roughly 23% year over year. At the point of which March 21st mass closures across the U.S., comparable store sales have been up roughly 3%. In other words, while they're saying that, hey, we're meeting 90% of the shit that we're like sell-through rate, they're still down quite a bit year over year when compared to last year. So it sounds like, if I'm interpreting this as it is, it doesn't sound like COVID is affecting how much they're selling to begin with compared to what they were expecting to hit. It's just they weren't expecting to hit all that much to begin with because GameStop is on a downward spiral, unfortunately.
Yeah, their predictions are so ridiculously low that any amount of sales is them being like, we hit our target. Woo, we did it. One of our guys sold something today. It's a red letter day. Be excited.
The company's CEO, George Sherman, and its board of directors are taking a temporary 50% pay cuts, a cut to the base salary in Sherman's case, in cash compensation for the directors, while the rest of the executive leadership takes a temporary 30% hit to the base salary. The cuts don't stop at the top, however, as certain other employees across the company will see their pay dropped between 10 to 30%, aka probably your store managers, your district managers, LP leads, etc. Essentially,
just about everybody got hit with 20%.
Anyone who is salaried is probably getting told you're getting a 10%, 20%, 30% pay cut.
It's probably 20%, and anybody that's was working 40 hours a week is now working 32 hours a week. Nobody's working full time anymore.
Right here. Additionally, some of the company's corporate support staff are having to choose between being furloughed or working a shorter work week for reduced pay. So essentially, GameStop's going through all the pains that everyone else is. It's just they have the additional issue of already having been in dire straits before all of this shit happened.
I mean, we've been reporting on GameStop being about to die for the last 2 years.
Yeah, they're the Vita of retail stores. They keep fucking holding on.
Vita means life, bro.
Captain Ice Cold in chat says, from what I understand, GameStop always struggles during the end of console life cycle. Anyways, they just have to make it through the end of the year. I don't even think the new console cycle is going to save them. I think that the trend towards digital, the new console cycle will help them extend another year to 2 years, but as we slowly transition into digital, GameStop's days are numbered, which is why you're seeing more and more of them turn slowly into a hot topic.
Dude, at this point, they've been dying for so long that I don't even know what's going to happen. They're just going to show up and they're just going to be a specialty realtor, and there's going to be like 3 of them a state, but it's still going to be around. You can still buy GameStop shit. I don't even know anymore.
I kind of want to mention this real quick. Unfussy in chat asked what our opinions on cryptocurrencies is. Now, I know that's kind of off topic, but it relates to this weird digital future that we're going in. I think that as more and more of society becomes online, and I think that this weird COVID situation we all find ourselves in is going to drastically accelerate that, you're going to start having less and less faith in governmental currencies, like government-backed currencies, and we're going to start turning to things like crypto. That said, we're still years and decades, if not decades, away from that being the case because it's too fucking volatile right now. But I
don't trust that math money.
I keep my gold under the mattress in my bedroom along with my shotgun there, Unfussy. All that said, as we move everything, and I do mean everything, more and more to this all-digital future that is awaiting us, it only makes sense that you're going to start actively seeing things like the Japanese yen and the US dollar not just being compared with crypto prices, but actively fighting against them because that's why you're seeing these governments start to regulate more and more of that aspect of it. The problem is for them, technology is outpacing the speed they can act. And they're fucked. So if you want to extrapolate 10, 20, 30 years down the road, yeah, I think that crypto is going to completely destabilize governments.
I just still think it's funny that you could have a time traveler from 2009 who's like, "Hey man, we just got Bitcoin. Is that useful for anything?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I used 1 Bitcoin to buy a roll of toilet paper the other day." And he'd be like, "Oh, cool," but they wouldn't really get it.
I get it. So yeah, I know that seems like a
joke.
I know that seemed like a weird tangent to go on, but I think it does tie into GameStop's demise and why I think automation is going to start accelerating and taking over everything even faster now, because at this point it is all going digital. So anything brick and mortar, as we use, I think it's important to
keep crypto in the conversation though, because of how many flipping companies are trying to get crypto miners on your computer and use your fucking PC power to get money.
Yep. You got to watch out for that shit.
That is happening constant. That is happening everywhere.
Fear Facebook and their Libra shit. Fear Tencent and who knows what the hell they're putting on there, because I don't fucking trust Tencent as far as I can throw them. But
that's why I turn my computer off at night. You don't get my computer power money.
Yeah, that's not going to work there, David.
I know. Just let me believe, bro.
David, I think that does it for news.
That being said, all the coins should be deleted except for Bitcoin and Dogecoin. Everything else can fuck off.
As we slowly get turned into Amazon Prime citizens, essentially the Shadowrun dystopia where we all have our system identification number, which we have to renew for $59.99 a year to keep getting free water. As we eagerly, quote unquote, await that future, what can I do to keep myself occupied in the meantime?
There is some new stuff. Sorry, I just had to jump out really quick because Ice Cold mentioned "fuck that Cooking Mama" game, because there was talk about that being a crypto miner.
I wanted to talk about that Cooking Mama game, but that story is so fucking confusing that it requires so much backstory. I just wanted to touch on it really quick.
That the gist of it is that it's basically been proven to be untrue.
No, there's more to it than just that cryptocurrency miner shit. there's like a war between the publisher and the developer, and the developer saying that the publisher didn't have rights to launch the game or some shit like that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of shit going on with it. That's the only part I wanted to touch on because I don't give a fuck about Cooking Mama. Cooking Mama can just suck a butt. Anyway, let's talk about new video games. That shit's old. Nobody likes old shit. And if you want to play some new video games, you got a couple of options. I don't know about a ton, but there's a couple this week.
We got some good stuff.
Help will come tomorrow. Comes out for PS4,
Will
Switch, PC, and Xbox One.
That sounds like a promise that you can't really fill there, David.
No, dude, it's like the day after tomorrow, but that's when help comes. That's when they're getting
2 days before the day after tomorrow.
So this is a 2D survival strategy game that maybe you like, because I feel like this game is going to go straight to cannibalism, and I don't know why. I just feel like that's.
I do like cannibalism in my games. It's one of the reasons
it takes
that
place
Farsis was
in an
so charming.
uninhabitable Siberian wilderness in the wake of the October Revolution, where a group of passengers survive a catastrophic Trans-Siberian Railway train accident, and they're literally just trying to endure the harsh ice climate until rescue shows up. So they're like,
you know what this fucking reminds me of?
Trying to survive on the ice. Dude, it made me think of that one story in the World War Z book where they like go north to get out of the zombies and they have to start eating each other because it turns out that once you cut down all the trees and hunt all the deer, there's no food left.
You know what this reminds me of? There was a game called Gods Will Be Watching. I don't know if you have played it or not, but this looks a lot like that. Not in art style wise, but just in theme and tone.
Okay. Yeah, I think it looks actually pretty interesting. I probably wouldn't play it. I'm not a huge like strategy guy, or a survival guy rather. But who knows? It could be cool. Obey Me comes out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This is a more action beat 'em up Diablo style adventure game where it's set in the modern world, quote unquote. Heaven and hell are locked in a millennial conflict for the souls of mankind. Vanessa Held, a lowly soul huntress. God, what 10-year-old wrote this shit? In the infernal ranks, and her hellhound companion Monty will tip the balance of war with their own hands. And as shitty as that description reads, in my opinion, this game actually looks pretty fun. It's like a third-person isometric kind of Diablo clone where you're smashing your way through different demons and all kinds of shit. It's kind of flashy, but it's set in like modern streets and there's modern buildings and weird kind of aesthetic going. Looks pretty entertaining. The Shattering comes out for PC this week. This is a first-person thriller psychological horror game. Its defining features are the dynamic environments, beautiful aesthetic, and intriguing story. The gameplay is meant to submerge you in the mind of John as you take each step forward in the twisted mystery of what happened. The cool thing about this game is it's like a first-person adventure, but it's totally black and white, or grayscale, whatever you want to call it. And it looks like shit gets super weird.
I will be playing this tomorrow on the stream here at twitch.tv/GamePoints at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The PR team for this game reached out and gave me a code, so it was provided for free. But if you want to take a look at what the Shattering is, I will be streaming it Wednesday, April 22nd at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at twitch.tv/GamePoints. Thank you very much
now you don't
PR for the code.
Now you don't even got to play it yourself. You can just watch that guy play it. It's like you paid for it, but then you didn't. But maybe you like it, and then you pay for it.
That is the hope if I want to keep getting stuff, but yes.
I don't know how this shit works. Anyway, Bring You Home comes out for PC and Mac. This is, full disclosure, a phone port. Came out on Android and iOS whenever the fuck it did. It's a 2D platformer, but it doesn't actually look that shitty, which is the only reason it managed to save its skin on this list. You play as Polo, a humble alien hero who'll traverse all kinds of worlds in a frenzy chase to rescue his kidnapped alien pet. While the story seems simple, graphically it looks pretty decent, and it's a platformer. I don't know, I like platformers, and while there are some shitty ones, this one doesn't look the most shitty in my opinion. MotoGP 20 comes out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and Stadia. Jesus, I feel like this is the first time we've actually mentioned Stadia.
I've actually completely forgot Stadia existed, and I think Google has
reminder, Stadia is free if you have a Gmail account.
I don't care.
Right? Like, you can now just straight up get on Stadia, play Destiny 2 if you just have a Gmail account. You don't even got to pay for it anymore, and still no one cares.
Stadia has joined the ranks of the Ouya and the Playdate. The Playdate's not even out, but that's that stupid fucking
Which is hilarious because we called that before it came out, and now it's just the over-under on how long until Google pulls the plug. And people get mad about the games they paid for that they can't play anymore.
You know what's even more fucked up? Stadia already requires a rather massive internet connection, but with everyone working at home, Internet's being slowed across
Everything's
the globe.
throttled. Yeah. The only nice thing is you don't have Dale caps right now, so you could actually probably use it. Anyway, we're talking about MotoGP 20, and this has its own bit of hilariousness because now you can finally race the MotoGP season that doesn't even exist because the way the numbering of these games works, right? It's got all the racers from 2019, and you're going in the 2020 season, except for the 2020 season is not happening because
Okay, I see what you mean.
all of the riders are actively at home racing each other in this video game every week.
That's gonna be curious to see how they handle this year's Madden.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious that like the NASCAR guys being stuck at simulators and racing cars virtually, and like the F1 guys doing it and the IndyCar guys doing it makes some amount of sense, right? Like driving a car and driving a driving sim are very different, but at least with the driving sim you've got, you know, a wheel and pedals and some amount of simulation. The MotoGP guys that are doing their season on a video game are legit just using like PS4 controllers. And it's hilarious because you know who's dominating? The guy that was just promoted from Moto 2, like the younger class, like basically the youngest guy in the next season's roster is the guy that's kicking everyone's asses because, you know, he plays a lot of video games.
We went from people mocking esports to esports being the only sport in less than like 4
Hell
months.
yeah, dude. It's about damn time. I couldn't be happier. Also out this week, XCOM Chimera Squad comes out for PC. This is that mini XCOM that we talked about a little bit last week. This is not the XCOM, like the next
It's not XCOM 3.
It's not the one you wanted, but it is only $10, which is pretty cool.
It's 20, but it's on sale for now. Yeah.
Get in there. Fuck, dude. Let me talk.
Well, you say $10, 20, man. I can't just let that go.
It is $10 right now. If you buy it after May 1st, it is $20. So if you have a passing interest in XCOM Chimera Song, maybe buy it when it's cheap, because if you buy it later, you messed up. It's called fear of missing out.
So here's the thing: when I first saw this announced, I was really salty about it because I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" But as time has gone on, and the short amount of time, because it was announced last week, I very quickly started going, "Okay, I'm into this," and I'm going to be playing this sometime. I don't know if it's going to be this week or next week, but I will be streaming this. I am now actively looking forward to getting my hands on Chimera Squad.
Dude, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Cloudpunk comes out this week on PC. This is a sci-fi cyberpunk RPG that, no joke, I really want to play. This game looks awesome. A neon noir story in a rain-drenched cyberpunk metropolis. It's just dumb cyberpunk shit, and I love it. It's your first night on the job working for the Cloudpunk delivery service. 2 rules: don't miss a delivery, and don't ask what's in the package. This game looks like the taxi sections of The Fifth Element, and I love it.
You're right. I didn't even piece that together. But yeah, I've been trying to think of what this reminded me of, and that is it.
Yeah, 100%. That's the total vibe of it, and it's got this whole like noir, cyberpunk, gritty. Oh, I'm just a delivery guy, and I'm just here to do my job, or delivery lady, or I'm just here to do my job, and I'm just a sucker for stuff. I think it's great. Trials of Mana comes out for PS4, Switch, and PC. This is a modern remake of the third game in the Mana series. So this came out days and days and days ago. The game, originally released in Japan as something I cannot pronounce, has been fully rebuilt from the ground up in 3D.
Fuck, I need to see it.
Seiken Dentetsu 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I need to actually see the text to be able to tell you.
I don't speak Japanese at all, so if that was really bad, it's because I'm super white, and I apologize. Predator Hunting Grounds comes out for PS4 and PC this week as well. This is Dead by Daylight / Friday the 13th / Evolve, the Predator version.
I want to play this, but I don't want to pay for this.
See, the problem I have with Predator Hunting Grounds, as cool as it looks, is that I've played Depth, and I've played Dead by Daylight, and I played Friday the 13th, and I played Evolve, and I played every other asymmetric multiplayer game. And there's the ones that are successful because they keep paying attention and they like support the community and they listen to the community, like Dead by Daylight. And then there's everything else, which is literally just sent out to die.
I have yet to see one that has fully grabbed my interest yet. I have played almost all of them, and I went, okay, this is fine. This is cool. But getting 4 people together, which is really needed to truly make these games hum, is kind of a bitch and a half.
You need 4 people? You just need yourself, bro.
I know
you're playing it wrong.
You can either try to always be the Predator, which means you're sitting in the lobby forever, but I kind of want to experience both sides, right?
You're not sitting in the lobby for it. There's always people need killing, bro. At least that's my experience in Dead by Daylight,
But
which
that's
is of those asymmetric games, the one I played.
I do like Dead by Daylight quite a bit, but just
I'm actually still pissed that Resident Evil Resistance isn't like a free game or like a standalone thing that I can get for $10 because I don't really want to.
it's $60 for that. It's. I mean, Resident Evil 3 is fine.
Resident Evil 3 is still cool, but I'm not gonna have a bunch of people that are gonna buy Resident Evil 3 just to play Resistance.
Exactly. That game will be on sale though. It will.
Yep. We also have Arakia. I think that's that.
Yeah,
The Path
that
of
looks
Light.
alright.
Coming out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is a casual puzzle adventure game that's been out for a couple of years now on Steam. It's got some very positive reviews. People seem to like it. It's an atmospheric puzzler with lasers and mirrors. It's got a mystical world. It's got all kinds of weird puzzles. And you're the light bearer who's on a quest to walk the legendary path of light and save the world from impending disaster.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right? It looks like you're mostly spinning stuff and making it so that things work. And last but not least, Deliver Us the Moon comes out for PS4, Xbox, Switch, and PC. This is a sci-fi single-player space adventure game. It's a sci-fi thriller set in an apocalyptic and near future where Earth's natural resources are depleted. A lone astronaut is sent to the moon on a critical mission to save humanity from extinction.
I kind of want to play this. I don't think I'm going to, but I do kind of want to play this. Also,
right? It looks about interesting, but not like something. Deliver Us the Moon.
I like that title, and I couldn't place my finger on it. It just, I don't know, something about it.
It seems interesting. We're both a sucker for sci-fi games, especially when they're in space. But what are you gonna do? There's only so much time in the day, and I got a Steam backlog and no money.
And yet you've just been playing Satisfactory nonstop.
Yeah, because it turns out any of the games in my Steam backlog I have to download and install. And I can just play the ones that I already got.
David, I believe
Yes.
that does it for new releases, and as such, does it for the show as well. Thank you all for showing up for Game Points episode 215. If you like what you see here, you guys know what streamers want. Likes, follows, bits, subscribes. If you're sitting on that Amazon Prime account and you haven't used that freebie sub yet, I'd appreciate it here. But if you don't use it here, use it somewhere. Make sure to give it a good home. We will be live again with this show next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. But if you can't join us live and join the conversation, you can always do so later over at youtube.com/GamePointsPC to catch the old video show put up there. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePointsPC. You can follow myself, CapitalistPig21, and you can follow David there at PalShlife_Satori. You can join the Discord server, link provided down below if you want to be part of the greater Game Points community. And of course, I do stream regularly throughout the week random video games. Remember, tomorrow, which will be April 22nd, I will be streaming The Shattered at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. Thank you all for showing up, and until next time, we're out of here.